This is Meteo Mundo.
Hi everyone, Rusty back with you here for the latest forecast video across the Caribbean. A lot to talk about weather-wise, especially what's happening in the Atlantic. We're going to get right into it, friends. Again, thanks for liking the video and subscribing. Boy, I got to tell you something. This is going to be a very interesting couple of days with two tropical storms now just east of the Leeward Islands and Puerto Rico. We have Tropical Storm Philippe, which we've been watching all week long. But from that area of disturbed weather, that interest area, we now have Tropical Storm Rena. Rena has developed early on this Thursday. And I want you to notice how close the two are going to potentially be early next week. Yes, friends, there is the opportunity that we could have these tropical storms interact with each other. I want to give you the newest information on Philippe first, and it's good news for my friends in the Leeward Islands like Barbuda and Anguilla, the U.S. and British Virgin Islands, and Puerto Rico, because this time yesterday, the Hurricane Center had the track from Philippe moving right across the Leeward Islands and towards Puerto Rico. Now, weakening as it did so, but they have completely changed that track. Winds are 50 miles an hour right now, but Philippe is forecast to now hold on to tropical storm status, but it's going to slowly meander south and west, never reaching the Leeward or the Windward Islands. And then early next week, maybe midweek, it picks up south winds, and that should shove Philippe back up to the north. Now, there's still a lot of discrepancy in the models, but this is a little bit more the consensus now for Philippe to actually never reach the Leeward Islands. So at this point in time, for our friends there, not expecting any direct impacts. But again, I'd love to hear from the folks who live in that area. Just drop me a line in the comments section. Let me know what you see here over the next couple of days. Now let's get into Rena, because again, this is going to be a very interesting scenario here. Rena has winds of 40 miles an hour at this point in time, moving up to the north and to the west. Going to stay a tropical storm, might be a little bit stronger than Philippe, but not much stronger. But the most interesting part of this is, zooming in on this area, I want you to notice the two tracks from both Rena and Philippe begin to overlap early next week. There is an opportunity that we could see these two tropical storms of basically the same size and strength begin to interact with each other. We call that the Fujiwara effect. We see it from time to time, but this could be a very interesting one because typically you have one very large, massive system and a much smaller system, and that large one just absorbs the smaller one. These two are so close to each other in intensity and size. It's going to be interesting to see what happens. Now, I'm going to show you the GFS model. I'm going to tell you this right now. The GFS model absolutely picked up on this yesterday. I actually dismissed it based on the track of Philippe from the Hurricane Center yesterday. But here's what's going to show you from the GFS. I'm going to zoom in on this so we get a really good idea. So again, this is tomorrow. You clearly have two different systems. You've got Philippe off towards the west. You've got Rena to the east of Philippe. As I slowly take this out into time, what you're going to see from the GFS model, by the way, I'm going to take it a little bit further west so you can see the islands, is that Philippe begins to absorb Rena. Look at this. So now Rena begins to fall apart. Philippe begins to absorb Rena and actually becomes stronger and takes over. And the GFS model says that Philippe becomes a very powerful storm as it moves north. Now, that track is still just fine for the Leeward Islands, British and U.S. Virgin Islands, and Puerto Rico, but it's a very interesting scenario here. You know, again, when you're talking about two systems that are of very similar strength and size, it's hard to tell which one might win out. They could actually both dissipate. They could almost basically disrupt each other and fall apart, but that's not what the GFS says. The GFS says, hey, look, I think Rena is going to dissipate, be absorbed by Philippe, and Philippe is going to strengthen and move up to the north. So it's an extremely interesting situation developing here in the Western Atlantic, one I'm very intrigued about. Going to put the GFS model back into motion. You see it one more time. Rena gets absorbed into Philippe on this model and then moves up towards the north as a very powerful system. So again, moving away from the islands, that's great news. Let's talk about the chance for rain because obviously the scenario has changed for the Dominican Republic and Puerto Rico over the next couple of days. Now I don't expect us to have obviously direct impacts out of Philippe. So for the rain chance, it's actually going to be fairly minimal as we get towards Saturday and Sunday. over Hispaniola, Port-au-Prince, Haiti, Santo Domingo. I do expect more rain there, so the opportunity for some showers over the weekend, again, at least in a scattered variety. Not the case, though, for Puerto Rico and the U.S. British Virgin Islands, St. Croix, Roadtown, on over towards San Juan and Ponce. Very isolated rain at best. We would get a couple of scattered showers here towards Friday and then into the weekend, but nothing of significance. Same thing for the Leeward Islands as well. Again, with Philippe now staying away, we're not going to have those direct impacts. The heavier rain is not anticipated. But what an interesting scenario, friends. Tell me what you think is going to happen. I'd love to hear from that. Drop it in the comments below. Again, thank you for liking the video as well. And if you want the newest information, keeping you up to date on this, all you have to do is subscribe right here to Meteo Mundo.